What's going on, guys? Today I'm using my Canon R7 to film this, but it's actually the camera we're talking about. So this is Canon's firmware update 1.5.0, and why I basically think it's very important that you update your camera with this firmware update if you are using the R7 like I am. So in all honesty, there's some fixes and bug issues that are fixed within the camera now with this firmware update, which are really nice. I'm going to go through the fixes first and foremost from the Canon website, and then go into some more detail about some other fixes that haven't actually been mentioned on this, but users of the camera, including myself, have definitely noticed. So moving forward, this update only came out 3 days ago or 4 days ago, depending when I put this video live, on the 1st of August. So it's only been out a couple of days, but the results are actually pretty good. So moving into the actual fixes that Canon has mentioned, they have enabled the RF S 3.9 dual fisheye lens support, so now we can use that camera or that lens on the R7 if we did wish to, and it should work properly. So that's a very niche lens, which I definitely won't be picking up, but yeah, either way, it's good that that is now supported. So another one is they've added support for the Software Development Assistant Kit, EDSDK, and CCAPI in brackets. Not entirely sure what it means, but you know, that's just some little things that they have enhanced the camera with, so that they have this assistant kit available. The following issues have now been fixed. So, fixed an issue that caused the camera in rare instances to experience the delayed restart after the camera has gone into auto power off mode. And I have to say, I am so glad that this is fixed, because I have ran into this issue multiple times where, you know, you're using the camera, you let it go to sleep because you're not using it at that given time, or maybe you're just kind of using it to look through a viewfinder or whatever, and it goes into auto power off mode. So you can see what's going on, but then like you can't actually use the camera and take pictures with it, and sometimes even the EVS shuts off anyway if it's been long enough. So anyway, you can't use the camera, and when you have this experience of the delayed restart, what it means is that sometimes you're like, right, there's the subject, I need to get onto it. You're clicking the buttons trying to get it on, and you're tracking the subject through the sky, and you can't take any pictures, meaning you missed the shot that you were going for, or whatever it is, whether it's a racetrack that you're on or whether it's, you know, something else. If it experiences that delayed restart, it can mean that you end up missing the subject that you were shooting at, which is really frustrating. So I'm very glad that that is fixed. They've also fixed an issue that in specific circumstances and rare instances may prevent an image from being displayed in the viewfinder or on the screen, which has caused the camera to stop operating or it to display error code 70. This is another one of them things that is very frustrating when it does happen. I've only had it happen once where the image just didn't want to do anything. I had to just turn the camera off and on again. It didn't take very long for me to reboot it, but in the short space of time that things happen in action photography, whether it's wildlife or aviation or whether it's sports or anything like that, in that short period of time you can still miss a shot, which is frustrating. So I'm glad that's fixed. They've also fixed an issue where the in-body image stabilizer doesn't initialize or didn't initialize when a vibration occurs when the camera is turned on. So in this instance, if you turn the camera on and you happen to like bang it against something, or you happen to, you know, like have a bit of wobble or camera shaking or shaking your hands or whatever, it could knock the image stabilizer off, meaning that in your video it was no longer stabilized, which can be a problem. And obviously I've not experienced that, but it must have been frustrating for those that did experience that, that wanted to get those videos and stuff like that for that kind of thing. Personally, I'm glad it's fixed, even though I've not run into it, because had it happen, you know, down the line, I'd be like, god damn, like that's really frustrating. So again, it's good that it's fixed. And these bugs and problems do occur with new cameras. That's just how it goes sometimes, but I'm glad it is sorted. Fixed an issue that may result in error code 70, yet again, displayed when the user is shooting in A+ mode or with the camera set to AI focus AF. So if you've got AI focusing with the, you know, the learning and different things on, then it could cause error code 70 to appear on the camera, which is not very good, because that error code is, obviously you're getting error code on the camera and you think, shit, what have I done, what's wrong? To me personally, these sorts of fixes are very important, because it does make you think you're doing something wrong, either that or there's something wrong with the camera, which obviously you don't want when you've paid money for a camera. You don't want the things to be like these error codes popping up and thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to replace it or something like that. Maybe I need to send it into Canon or a repair center to get this problem fixed. It turns out it was just a bug. So yeah, it's very frustrating. They've also fixed an issue that may cause the card access lamp to start flashing and the camera not to operate normally when shooting small subjects. Now, I haven't really encountered this, but again, it's one of them things that I know other people have. Looking at Reddit, looking at, you know, some of the forums and some of the complaints I've seen, you know, this is something that was affecting quite a few people, and to be completely honest, I'm just glad it's fixed, so that when I am shooting smaller subjects, I don't have to run into that issue and try and figure a way around fixing that, because obviously that's not the best thing to do. It's going to be frustrating for the people wanting to shoot small subjects, especially when you are literally looking at it and being like, right, but there's the subject, trying to take a picture and not being able to. They've also fixed an issue that may cause the camera to continue shooting when the user presses the shutter button and another button at the same time. Now, I have had this issue where I let go of the shutter button and I kept hold of the focus button and the camera kept shooting for a bit and it filled the buffer up, so I was no longer able to, you know, sit there and take any more pictures, and I ended up potentially missing some of the better shots that I could have gotten. Again, it's one of them things, had the buffer been different and different things like that, it wouldn't have been such an issue. But the problem with it is that because it kept shooting, I then ran out of space in the buffer to be able to keep shooting the photos that I may have wanted to get in the first place, which again is really, really frustrating. So things that haven't been noticed or haven't been mentioned in these patch notes for this firmware update is things like autofocus tracking and the stabilizer. The stabilizer was mentioned in a little bit, but it was just about it not initializing, which may end up being why it wasn't really that great sometimes in the camera. But going forward, yesterday I went out in really harsh conditions, like it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun's at the highest point possible, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm shooting backlit birds or frontlit birds, like shooting right into the sun or shooting like up into the sky and the sun's behind me, lighting them up. And you know, it was a really challenging day because heat haze was a thing, wind, obviously the subjects being a distance away meant that the heat haze was a thing as well. So it was really challenging conditions for the camera, and I have shot in these conditions before. Now, I was using my trusty 150 to 600 Sigma lens, which obviously has the different custom modes. Again, I will be doing an updated version of, you know, what settings I'm using with the dock, how to program it in and everything like that going forward. But for the most part, update the camera first and then we'll talk about this, because this is my next sort of thing I'm going to be talking about and talking through, because it's very important to get that thing right and show you guys how to get the best out of the camera. So I was using the 150 to 600 and immediately I noticed it was locking onto things miles faster. It was keeping hold of that tracking a lot quicker, and I've even got some pictures to basically bring up, and these are essentially just straight up Where are we? Here we go. So these are straight up, you know, straight on the actual camera, or straight on the file, straight from the camera itself. You know, you can say there's a little bit of heat hairs here, and a little bit of unsharpness on the wing. Again, we go into this one. It's a little unsharp, but mainly this is down to the actual heat haze of the shot. This one came out really, really nice, to be completely honest. You can see there's a little bit of the highlights blown out, but the actual subject is perfectly in frame. And we've got some really nice bokeh, like bubbles and stuff like that in the frame as well. And again, I wasn't really taking many pictures to get the most out of this, but what I was trying to do is just see how well it focused. And as you can see there, zooming right in on that image, it's in focus. You can see there's a little bit of noise, a little bit of heat haze, but for the most part we got some really decent images, and it locked onto the subject miles quicker than it has in the past, and you can see the results are pretty darn good. Like, this was obviously a buzzard, a young one. As you can see, the heat haze here really coming into effect, but as it got closer and closer, again, you can kind of see the heat haze and the unsharpness of that, but locking on to an actual subject and being able to have it so it's in focus, you can see if it wasn't for the heat haze and the jelly in the sky, this would be a lot sharper than it is. And going forward, again, like I said, with this one, you start zooming in and you can see that haze, and that is the conditions I was shooting in. Yet when we look at a photo like this, I got low, you zoom straight in there, and again you can sort of see the softness from the haze, but apart from that, it's really sharp. So first impressions on this update and the sort of thing that I've been able to do with the camera since the update and stuff like that, like, I'm really impressed by how it's come out, how well some of these shots are, like, even with the haze. I mean, look, you can tell that the haze is there, you can tell that it's really ruined the image, but then if you look at one like this where it was a little bit closer, it's not as bad, and you can tell that that is the actual haze of the heat in the conditions that I was shooting. Again, like I said, the lighting conditions were honestly god awful, but the fact is, this is sharp for the most part, and the detail in the bird and everything like that is actually really impressive. Again, this was at a lower shutter speed. This one is completely out of focus because I was moving quite a lot, but then again we get this shot, which is quite in focus. Again, the haze is there, so it's not perfect, but to be completely honest, I actually am very impressed by just how much more accurate the camera is in terms of the tracking, how quickly it gets focused on things and stuff like that. Even though none of that was actually mentioned in the patch notes, they definitely have improved that autofocus and improved the stability of the camera in general. Again, like I said, I took probably 5 or 6 images of that plane, and I was like really sort of like trying to keep it still, but obviously you do shake, and at 125th of a second it's very easy to bump the camera or to slightly move too much and get that blur and completely ruin your image. So the fact that like 4 out of the 6 shots are actually sharp is really good. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and of course update your R7 with the links down below to the latest firmware update if you can. And if you've just got the camera and everything's just being set up and everything like that, personally I would just go in, update to 1.5. It's definitely worth it for the fixes that have been implemented. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.